My really good friend Nick has completely changed his life. He's in his late 40s now. He's changed his diet. Initially, he cut sugar out of his diet, started eating more ketogenically, and now he's predominantly on a carnivore diet. And he's had huge health improvements, and his metabolism is way much better, and his performance as a mountain biker is actually quite unbelievable. And he got himself into a conversation with somebody recently about this and about nutrition. And there was a lot of pushback, and the person that he was speaking to was not going to accept that you don't need carbohydrates for energy. And the argument that this person put, because this person has some sort of background, I'm not sure if they were a science teacher or a biology teacher, but they've had some kind of formal education in biology or science or something. And their argument was, you don't know what you're talking about, Nick. I am a scientist. If you win debates or discussions about science by claiming superiority because you consider yourself a scientist, then you're not a scientist. Because science is not a textbook. Science is not a whole body of literature. Science is a way of thinking about the world and learning based on evidence and being prepared to change your mind and to listen to people. That is a scientist. So somebody who's had an education at an institution and memorized the contents of a book so that they can pass an exam to see how much of it they remembered, that does not make you a scientist. Sure, that's important if you want to go into the scientific fields and work there and do research, because you need to understand some basic processes and building blocks and basic theories of science. But you're not a scientist if you're closed-minded. Now, for this person to argue back against the notion that we don't need carbohydrates by saying, I am a scientist, which is implying that Nick does not know what he's talking about because he can't, because he's not a scientist, and he isn't, he's a language teacher, is about as ridiculous as so many doctors who say, I am a doctor, I will tell you what's good for you, and I will tell you what to do. Don't you question me and don't you argue with me. Because when you get two scientists in a room, or two doctors in a room, and they start to debate something and they have a difference of opinion, I will show you at least one that is now wrong, if not both of them, which is quite possible. But they're not going to both be right, because they wouldn't be arguing. So the fact that scientists discuss and debate and do experimentation and dispute each other's findings just shows that being a scientist does not mean that you're correct. And if your mind is closed because you think you've had your education now and it's over and nobody can tell you anything, and you're going to go through the rest of your life applying what you think you know, you're going to get left behind quite quickly, because science is discovering new things all the time. That's the point. That's why, as a scientist, we have to keep an open mind, and we have to question things, and we have to test things. Now, the reason we have to test things is because questioning something doesn't make it wrong. Questioning something means you've thought of another way to test to see if it survives the test or not. Okay, it's a subtle difference. So my WTF moment this week is, what the F was this person thinking to say, I'm a scientist, shut down the conversation? You're not a scientist, buddy. Not even close. A scientist would have that conversation and go, well, Nick, that's very interesting. Why do you say that? Where did you hear that? Where can I go and read up on that? Who have you been talking to? Do you know about this? Have you considered that? I understand that you don't have a grounding in science, so you probably can't explain metabolic pathways to me, but I'm very interested in hearing your own experience, and I'm going to go and look into it. It doesn't sound right to me. These are the reasons why. But no, you're wrong, Nick. I'm a scientist. What the F? You're not a scientist. Science doesn't work like that. Science works with questioning, challenging, testing, evidence, proof, data. That is how science works. And there's just one other thing about science which is really interesting that a lot of people don't understand. Science does not prove anything, okay? The scientific approach, the questioning, the challenging, the testing, you can never quite 100% prove anything, but you can disprove things, okay? So you test a theory to try and trip it up so it falls down, and then that can't be the explanation. So you look for other possible explanations. And the more you test an idea and it doesn't fail the test, eventually, under the sheer weight of testing, you come to the practical conclusion that it's probably true, and you live your life accordingly. Okay? It's still a theory. Gravity is a theory. Electricity is a theory. Atomic structure is a theory. Theory is a very strong word in science. A theory doesn't mean somebody's fanciful idea. That's just an idea. And when you turn the idea into some sort of structural explanation that sounds like it might work, that's a hypothesis. It's still not a theory. It's only a theory once it's been tested quite exhaustively. Gravity is a theory. I'm pretty sure gravity is real. I'm pretty sure our ideas about electricity, so the theory of electricity with electrons and charges, seems pretty real to me, and it certainly works very well. The theory of flight. Our airplanes work. When they fall out of the sky, we always know why. So a scientific theory is very, very strong, and it's about as close as you're going to get to absolute, complete truth, but there are still things that, however true we think they are, at some point we discover something else, and we go, hang on a minute, that's not all there was to it. The theory of carbohydrates for energy is one such theory. It turns out you do not need carbohydrates in your diet at all. Now, you can use them for energy, but only because your body is trying to get rid of them, so it burns them. Okay, so great. Burning them and having some energy at the time is a bit of a useful side effect, but the damage that is done in processing those carbohydrates and metabolizing them and burning them to get rid of them again, that damage is huge. So you don't want them. Do without them. A textbook written in 1980 is out of date. It's wrong. A doctor who studied in 1985 and hasn't kept himself abreast with the research and hasn't read the new literature is wrong. He's been left behind because he thought he's got his education, he's a doctor now, he knows what he's talking about, he's going to sit there and he's going to talk to you for 10 minutes and charge you a consultation fee, and the next person's going to come in the door. I'm a scientist. Oh, what? So you've got nothing more to learn? Well done. Okay, thank you for your time. We do a WTF video every Wednesday. This is where I just complain about something that is ridiculous. Be careful of people who will shut down your argument, shut down a debate, not be prepared to engage with you because they consider themselves to be an expert. Nobody knows everything. No doctor, no scientist, nobody. There is always more to learn. Okay, so if you don't have a doctor who will have a conversation with you and answer your questions because they are more interested in sitting there just telling you what to do and giving you medication, you need to find somebody else, if you can, that you can talk to, another doctor, and get another opinion. Right, thank you very much. Please subscribe to our channel so that you can learn at least as much as you can to be able to know what questions to ask and be able to spot the person who thinks they know everything, because nobody knows everything.